What's popping? Welcome to 2021, January something, doesn't matter because Corona's still here. White people are ramshacking the Capitol and
terrorists.
So, hey, man, but we're here to talk about film. You know,
yes, we are.
We didn't get to watch that film. We got to watch it live. But nonetheless, we are here. My name is Rudy Wilson, Willy Nilly, you know, all that good stuff. Got my guy DA here. He's a recent film student graduate. Don't call him film student anymore. Don't call him dumbass anymore. My man got his master's. You feel me?
Hey,
talk to him nice. You feel me? DA, what's popping?
I should have wore a tie.
Yeah, hey, no, man, you're a film student, man. You got it. You know what I'm saying? That look you got right there is exactly what you needed. The backwards.
The backwards hat is still in it.
Yeah, the back, like you look like a young Spike Lee or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
I'm pointing at people like this.
With the icon shirt on. And of course, not from B More, but we got B More in the building from Chi-Town. Actually, she got a whole new wardrobe, straight out of 2021. Bringing nothing from the old year. But she's here. Glad to have you officially here on the podcast with us as a host, not as a guest anymore. So welcome to the show.
Finished the hazing process and crossed over.
Crossed over. Crossed the burning fans. No, that's dope, man. But welcome, man. How are you?
I'm good. It's a new year, you know. Watching these new movies, you know. Corona's still out there, so you still got more time to binge more stuff.
Still got time.
That's it. That's all Corona is good for. You can binge everything. You cannot leave out of 2020 and 2021 saying you didn't watch anything. Okay?
No, that's fact. I'm not so much binging as far as like TV shows, but in reference to like movies, definitely.
Both, yeah.
But the problem with that is when you don't have people who like my family, they don't really like films as much as I do. Like I can watch the same film about like 20 times, and I sit here with Shania. She's like, Daryl, we didn't seen that yesterday. I'm like, it's okay. It's something new in it today.
So tell them you can blame it on a new degree. That's it.
Hey,
a new degree.
Tell them to put some respect. You ain't go through these 2 years for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, film is what you do, man. You feel me? It is what it is.
That's it. You don't have to get a new shirt. Film is what I do.
Film is what I do. No, not Donnie Kirk. That was that is Donnie Kirk. Yeah, that was Donnie.
It's gonna say, don't talk to me about film unless you want to debate.
And you know what? It's so true. That is so true.
That's facts. That's big facts. How was everybody's holidays, man? Did anybody do anything special? If you didn't, you don't have to speak. Just anybody did anything special? Because I didn't do anything, so I don't have anything for you.
So I actually went back.
Pretty much opted yourself out of the whole conversation.
Absolutely.
I actually went back home to AZ. Took my animals with me, and for the first time, my dog was able to just run around in a big yard. Aww. I mean, it was like he was on crack. He was just out, just go. But I did a lot of drinking. You know, that's pretty much what I did.
Gotcha.
That goes hand in hand with the holidays, libations on deck.
I'm upset at my grandma. Grandma, if you watch this, I'm upset at you. You made peach cobbler as soon as I left. I'm upset at you.
Wow.
And she mail you that, and you just got your masters. Come on, Gran.
Oh, you just got your masters. Come on, Granny.
She broke my heart.
Oh,
she know how I feel about the peach cobbler.
Well, hey man, Arizona's not too far away, man. You can always just drive home on a weekend, get you some peach cobbler.
That's real. Pop up with the ingredients. Something for you.
I always thought, come on, you got no excuse.
Right. Look, you ain't got to worry about getting quarantined and putting on your mask and the suit. I got you, Grandma. I got you.
Got her.
100.
Yeah. I had a chance to go home for a little bit. It was really great. Back home to Chicago. Got outside town. And so I just did a lot of like staying with just family, you know, like of course quarantining and social distancing. I did a lot of cooking, so my family was pretty happy about that. And I found 2 new bakers that I really love in the Chicagoland area that I will be trying again soon. And I love them. Bakers, yes. My whole thing this season has been how can I continue to support not only local businesses, but Black-owned businesses.
Oh, you already know.
Yeah, there were 2 bakers that I was like, all right, y'all, I give my family a choice. I said, if I'm coming home, I was like, I'm either going to cook or I'm going to bake. And so they opted for the cooking. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to find bakers to get what I want because I wanted a red velvet cheesecake. That's my favorite. It's my love language.
Oh, wow.
And then I ended up getting a shortcake cheesecake, which was great. I mean, if you want more information, check out my social media because I definitely gave them a huge shout out because, I mean, my grandma particularly loved the strawberry shortcake cheesecake. I mean, she went ham. I was like, all right, Grandma.
I can imagine that's fire. I definitely like strawberry shortcake. So I mean, and I like if I ever eat cheesecake, I only eat it if it got like strawberry, like drizzled sauce or whatever like that. So like, I can imagine putting 2 and 2 together. I can fuck with that. I can imagine.
Yeah, it was banger. I had to like, you know, new year, you know, new snatch goals. So I was like, all right, I can only do like a little bit of this, you know, like I can't eat all in like I want to. I got to take it in portions.
Yeah. I would definitely say if you guys like the cheesecake, there's actually this recipe that me and Shania made where you can make strawberry cheesecake ice cream. Fire.
Oh, right. So we
that's what I'm about to say. Why don't you just make it? I don't know why.
It's not like we got. So we made it in Arizona like a couple years ago when my grandfather was still alive, and he has this ice cream maker, so we don't have one. I mean, I could probably invest in one, and then we could probably make it for y'all. But at the moment, we don't have an ice cream maker.
Hey, man.
Okay, so if anyone wants to donate an ice cream maker, okay, to the Dumbass Film Students podcast, go ahead and let us know.
You know what? I think I might invest in one because as much as she eats ice cream like it's like bread or something. I don't know. Like whatever she eats ice cream like it's oxygen.
Damn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, she likes not oxygen, but ice cream. But yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, nice. That's nice. It sounds like the holidays was cool. Did you get a chance to at least eat, Rudy?
I mean, yeah, my shit was straight, man. Like, I mean, for like Christmas time ish, my mom and stepdad, like they flew out or whatever like that. But I don't know if I've told y'all this before, but I've mentioned to every time I say this, like we ain't really like the holly jolly family. So we wasn't like, and I mean, I'm talking about Christmas related. We're a happy family, but we're not like jingle belling down the street is what I'm saying. So like we weren't doing a bunch of Christmas shit is what, you know what I'm saying? Like we were just sightseeing or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like it was almost like it was just like a them visiting more or less than it was like a whole Christmas thing, you know what I'm saying? We did
like Whoville.
Say it again.
I say you guys are not like Whoville.
Right. So like as far as food, we did eat like a dinner on Christmas, but we had we ordered it from, I'm sure if I said the name, Briana, you would know. It's a black soul food place out here, and it's not Serving Spoon. It's another one. They got a couple locations, but I can't think of the name. But definitely a popular place. But so we ordered there for like the day before because they was gonna be closed on Christmas and just like saved it one up the next day type of thing. But that was like the most festive thing that we did was that meal, that technical leftover meal that we didn't eat on purpose fresh. So yeah, we had like Rainey'S.
Well, at least you got a chance to spend time with family. I mean, with the year we just had, that in itself is Christmas enough sometimes, So.
I mean, yeah, we'll be kicking it, man. Cool. As far what I wanted to ask y'all before we get into the films, and shout out to Lonnie, man. Lonnie, he's on the road. He's still
that's our boy.
Flyer, but yeah, he's on the road, man. So he'll be back. But did y'all? I guess if you want to name, I guess one thing that you saw outside of what obviously what we're getting ready to talk about, just like because you said you watch a lot of content, so it could be a TV series or it could be a movie, but like what's something one thing that you saw that you would like highly recommend? Like, yo, this was fire. Or
of course, because it came out around Christmas was Bridgerton. Yeah, that came out the end of 2020, beginning. I can't remember when it came out, but it just came out. So I would definitely recommend binging Bridgerton on Netflix from Shonda Rhimes for sure. I mean, one, the visuals, shout out to the wardrobe and costumes. I'm not going to give anything away, but I think for me, it was definitely a twist on a time period piece, which for me, I'm always looking at, how can you reinvent something that has already been invented and put a different twist on it. And so for me, they definitely did that in terms of the storyline, the costumes, I mean, the locations, everything. So for me, definitely a watch.
Gotcha. Bridgerton. Shout out Bridgerton.
I love it. Ooh.
What you got, DA?
So I've actually been doing more studying instead of just watching. I mean, I'm watching stuff, material and content. But I'm doing based
degree. You can't tell them nothing. I'm not.
It's look, I got this wonderful idea that I looked it up, has never been done, and I've been through. So Rudy, I create.
Don't say it on here. You about to say it?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm
about to say it.
No. You know how I created the Redlands, which is a whole new world,
right.
And I thought, based on creating a world, the best way to become better at creating worlds and stories and whatnot is to keep creating worlds and whatnot. So I came up with this whole new world that I'm doing, and so I started watching this show called The Magicians. It's a little hard to watch, but a lot of people like it. And then I've also started watching Blacklist. Yeah, Blacklist I will recommend because it's kind of. It's procedural, but it's procedural with extra steps. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I went crazy with binging. I even started like a series on my stories, on my IG stories. What is binging? And every week I would just literally like throw up all type of things that I had been watching, whether it was new or whether it was old. Like I just rewatched New Jack City. And I saw so many things that I didn't see the first time. So, Rudy, what about you?
That I would say was fire. Honestly, one of the movies watching today. Something. I mean,
Didn't you answer the question?
I mean, you were prepared to answer the question?
Right.
Y'all were saying y'all was like heavy binging, so I just figured y'all probably had some, because I even like Bridgerton. Like my sister been watching it, but I mean I ain't never watch it. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm trying to think of something new that I watched outside of these two movies that I had like a strong opinion about.
Did you watch Wonder Woman?
No, I haven't. I've never seen anything Wonder Woman, whether it was cartoon.
Oh my God. Rudy,
I'm not no heavy comic book type of person. Like when those type of movies come out, like I just see them if the preview catches my attention. But I'm not I'm not running out to see any superhero, and I don't have anything against them. It just never was my thing.
I mean, was it anything you rewatched where you were like, "Oh, I let me check this out again"? You know, has it been anything like that?
I mean, well,
holidays.
I was able to like to scoop because I got access to Philo through my stepdad's account. You know, I don't pay for nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm always on everybody's account. So
yes.
But I'm able to you can like, you know, you can save stuff or whatever like that. And so one of my favorite movies that I could never find anywhere besides the BET channel that it came out on was the New Edition story. So I was able to that came on, and so I was able to get that recorded. So now I got that, so I can watch that whenever I want to. So that's one of my favorite biopics. Also one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah. I can definitely say they definitely went ham on that. But the pre-production was like, wasn't it for like a long time? They did hella pre-production before they actually even went to production, which was great.
Yeah, but I think it was more or less because of the group. Like it was because of the guys, not so much like the actors or whatever. I think it was still a thing amongst New Edition that was getting on the same page type of thing. But
yeah,
I would probably say maybe that, or you know, I did rewatch some other good stuff, even like Think Like a Man too. You know what I'm saying? Like that movie is really, really funny. Like the more I watch it, like I put more stuff in, I'm like, man, this is actually like a pretty good little flick. So, yeah, I mean, but nothing too special. Like I said, I think the two most opinionated movies that I have are the two that we're talking about today, honestly, that I watch.
True. I don't know if you want to watch it, but they do have two new biopics coming out. I feel some type of way about one already, but one is the Wendy Williams biopic, and then Salt and Pepper.
Wendy Williams?
Why is she getting a biopic?
She has, I think, a documentary coming out along with the biopic.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna
God bless America.
All right, let's just move on. So,
let's go. Let's dive in. Let's do it.
Yeah, man, we got two films. Both came out in 2020. Shout out to the filmmakers, the actors, everybody involved in the films. You guys are the real heroes. You got these films done. So our opinions are just our opinions. Don't take anything personally unless you like the opinion. Then of course take it as personal as you want to, because it's a kudos to you. So let's start in this order. We only have two movies this season, season 2, episode 1. And we're going to actually start with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Directed by George C. Wolfe, starring Chadwick Boseman, Viola Davis, and a host of other great Black actors, and even two good white actors, the gentleman at Paramount Records.
Can't forget them.
Yeah, right.
Not on the Chocolate Podcast Network. We can't forget them.
Can't forget them. Right. Hopefully they weren't at the Capitol. No, I'm just kidding. But so let's do a quick vote. And then you know, we just get into it, man. So you know how we do it for anybody. If this is your first time watching, we give a simple thumbs up or down, or maybe even somewhere in between, just depending on how we felt about the movie as an overall spectrum. But then we'll get into the likes and dislikes and all the other particulars once we get our vote. So, anyways, on the count of 3, give your thumbs up or thumbs down. 1, 2, and 3. Cool. So, Darren, what you at? Is that like a 5, 6?
It's 5. I would definitely give it a strong 5.
We'll talk to it. What you got?
I like the movie, but I felt like it was more of a performer's piece. It was more for like actors who like watching actors, or filmmakers who like watching actors. It wasn't for a regular movie goer or movie audience, if you want to say that. And it just did not meet my expectations. I thought, based off of the trailer, there was going to be a lot more them in the club and whatnot. So I actually never saw that. I never knew this was a play. And going into it based off the trailer, I thought there was going to be a lot of in the club. You know, this actually seeing the whole world of that time, and it it just didn't meet the bar for me for what I expected the movie to be.
Brianna?
For me, I loved it. This is coming from a theater kid. So, of course, I am forever in love with it. I knew all about Ma Rainey before it came out. I knew actually when they started shooting it. I knew when Denzel Washington had picked up the rights for this. So, like, I had been following this for about 2 years since Census came out. So for me, like seeing this, and if you know, and also this is one coming from a history nerd, if you know anything about history and Ma Rainey and excuse me guys, can you guys still hear me? I got one in.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, cool. If you guys know anything about history, know anything about August Wilson, like for me, this was totally up my lane. I loved it. I do think that there were some moments where I think just the film industry at large is trying to figure out how to transform something from play form into film form. This is something like, even though it's been done for a while, I feel like this is a totally new concept right now in terms of the film industry. So for me, there are a few things that I'm like, okay, I'm seeing stuff and I'm like, all right, we need to figure out how this works. Also, not only I think am I seeing things that I feel like can be improved upon from that standpoint, but also when you go from a play to theater to film, now you're working on a third medium. And so sometimes it's difficult to translate things that you can only get in live theater to now doing it on film. So for me, even just like the telling of the story, you don't want to cut things down so much. You still want to give the overall essence, but like this was a totally different ending in the movie than it was in the actual play. So, you know, Jesse Wolf, he basically took his director's vision and changed a few things, which is totally you know, you can notice it if you study this. But I think overall, like I said, I loved it. I thought it was a great job. There were some things that I was like, I personally would have went in a different direction, but I was like, I can see the influence George C. Wolfe has from theater, even though he has done a few like films. I can see his root and foundation in theater, which I'm like, yep, that's theater. So overall, I loved it.
Right. I would have to ask. I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off, Rudy, but I would have to ask. I would have to ask. Do you guys feel like it's a sequel to Fences?
No,
No,
absolutely not. This is a totally different story.
Not like in the world, but the type of its approach.
It's not because of what she was saying. Like it's because if you know about August Wilson and even like where this whole play, because that's why I even had that in the questions as far as like who knew about Ma Rainey and August Wilson, so on and so forth. Because I wasn't aware prior to this. I didn't know about neither person. And so, but when I got the understanding, it made a lot more things make sense. But is it the same type of genre in the sense of what Brianna was saying as far as it being a play put to film? Yes, that's where the correlation is to Fences. But it's not like we got this Fences, so now let's do this not Friday After Next. You know what I'm saying?
No. I didn't mean it like that. I just felt like it had the same feeling as Fences.
I mean, it does because it's they're both just say oppressed Black people stage plays type of situation. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, whatever. So it's going to have that same type of tone, if you will. But they just tell stories. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But just to get
I'm gonna grab my earpiece real quick, y'all. Hold on one second.
As far as with me, I don't always have to mention this, but for anybody just watching, like I don't watch. I purposely don't, especially for this podcast, I don't watch the trailers or read the log lines or whatever. I just go into it just raw, just so I can just see whatever my take is on it without knowing anything about it. So Not only I didn't watch the trailer, but I also didn't know anything about this movie like at all. Like I didn't even know how, you know what I'm saying? Like I literally just happened to hear about it. You know, like it was happenstance. There was no big promotions going across my screens, nothing. Like I knew nothing about it.
I came across the trailer only because I was watching live TV, so that's how I watched it.
Right, yeah. And so and I don't be watching live TV like that. So I wasn't aware of it. So when I watched it, my very, very first thought was, before knowing anything else, like I was like, yo, like this definitely had to be a play. Like, and I could just tell how they were acting, the pace of the conversation, everything, whatever. Right. I was just like, yo, this is stage play. This has stage play written all over it. Especially amongst more in particular amongst the band, like with
exactly
Chadwick and all the boys. Like it was definitely, it was heavy down there.
To be honest, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What's your question?
I wasn't going to ask a question. I was just going to, because you had mentioned the band, but
yeah. So with the band, like I saw it real heavy with that. But my biggest issue when I first watched it, didn't know anything, like, because DA, you had your expectations about the club, whatever like that. My biggest issue when I first watched it was I felt like it ended abruptly. Like I felt like I was like, yo, what happened to the rest of the story? Because I wasn't aware that it was supposed to be surrounded by this one recording session. I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hearing about, when we get to Memphis and so I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm waiting to see that part. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, when do we get to Memphis? Like this is it? Like she just drive all, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I didn't, that was my first whatever. So, but there were parts about the movie that I had liked so much, which is what made me go back and watch it, which was the messaging, but even more or less, like I thoroughly enjoyed Viola Davis's performance. Like, I don't know anything about Ma Rainey, but I was convinced that whoever she was, that was her. You feel what I'm saying? Like the way when she was singing and she would hold her hands and move her shoulders and move her mouth with the gold teeth. Like I was like, yo, she is really embodying whoever this woman is. You know what I'm saying? Like I was thoroughly convinced. So because of her, that's what drew me back in, and I'll get deeper into it a little bit later. But when I went back and watched it with the understanding, I liked the movie even more because I was already past the point that, okay, they're going to be doing the stage play thing. I'm already past the point that, okay, it's not going to Memphis. So now that I'm focused on just this, I loved it even the more. And so so now this is actually me just going ahead and putting all that stuff aside. This is one of my favorite movies, and I've watched it 4 or 5 times total. You know what I'm saying? Just in general. Because like I really enjoyed what it stood for, like I said, but I'll let y'all go ahead and talk, and I'll explain that later on. I know, DA, you had something.
Yeah, DA, you had something?
I was going to say, when you mentioned the band, I felt like this movie could have been done without Ma Rainey. And that's just a personal opinion, because I was more interested in the band. They had more, huh?
I'm about to mute your microphone.
They had more. I felt like they had more conflict down there. I was more interested in their conversation. And then, I mean, when Ma Rainey came,
explain to me this movie without Ma Rainey. I'm saying, just explain to me. So, what else is happening besides? Explain to me how this movie looks without Ma Rainey, please.
So from the band, you got 3 or 4 stages of life. You got the elder, the one in between, the 2 in between old and young, and then you got the young fool. And we were literally watching that, and I was so interested because they, it's, I don't know, I grew up around my grandfather, and I was always listening to him talk with all his friends and whatnot, and so I guess that moment was sitting with me. I guess that moment was resonating with me because it just felt so familiar, and it felt so, I guess, real. I'm not saying Ma Rainey needs to be kicked out the movie. I understood her part.
That's basically what you said, because you said
I'm saying that I enjoy the band's part more than I enjoy Ma Rainey. But Ma Rainey's part, Viola Davis did a great job, although she was not singing. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I was watching her. She was not singing.
Yeah, that's obvious.
It didn't.
Yes, she was lip syncing. Yeah, I mean, I didn't.
Yeah, but
wait a minute. Let me just say,
I have nothing against Ma Rainey. I thought Viola Davis did a great job. I personally was just more interested in the band. Is that a problem?
Let me tell you something. You're like the rest of America who wants to always take the black woman out of the picture.
Oh my God.
The actual movie is called Ma Rainey.
I got it. It's actually called her song. It's not called Ma Rainey. It's called her song. But yeah.
No, it's specifically called Ma Rainey's, with showing ownership with the apostrophe because of the fact that they were trying to get her to sing Levy's Black Bottom, but she was like, no, it's about Ma Rainey. That's the whole purpose of it being Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and not Levy's or anybody else's, because she was standing for only what she didn't care about Bessie. I don't care about Bessie. Well, I
want to call me the mother of the blues. They can go call me that before me.
Right. Listen.
No, look at.
I will say, I think that Ma Rainey's struggle and what makes her so mesmerizing, a lot of it is very subtle. So to the average mind,
damn, are you calling me average? Damn.
It may go in their head because a lot of it was subliminal. Because if you look at just the opening scene of after her singing, the opening scene of her in Chicago, she doesn't say anything at all, but you see her walk through that lobby, you see her get in that car, you see the looks that she's dealing with, and not only do you see her position in it, but you also see the transformation of what racism was up north, which was very different from how it was down south, which is why she liked being down south. She said, I can take my black bottom back down south. I can take it to Memphis. I can take it elsewhere. So me, as a native Chicago, and of course this was based in Chicago in 1927, for me, I was like, yo, I am so glad that they're actually putting a perspective and doing an introspection about what I've been dealing with my whole life in Chicago. It's very different. And because I have had a chance to experience it both with it being in your face as well as behind your back, it's a different type of beast she was dealing with. And I thought that they did a great job of bringing that out in the film without any words. So for me, I was like, yo, Jersey Wilson opened a can of worms, because if you really look what that scene is about, you get it.
Mm-hmm. I definitely get it. I definitely get the whole. Like I said earlier, I get her whole story. I'm not discrediting her. All I said was me personally, and I don't think you guys can do that.
That's not all you said. That's not all you said. What you started off with saying.
I said
Ma Rainey could be taken out the movie, and it could have been just the band.
Just the band.
That's what you said.
Because I personally like the band. I was,
you can like the band,
but totally remove.
So you guys have a problem with me taking out Ma Rainey completely.
What I'm saying, the movie, everything is centered around her. Like the fights that they were having, like Levy's whole purpose, Chadwick Boseman's character, his whole drive. He even said out his mouth, like, I'm going to be able to treat the white man how Ma be talking to them.
How Ma, right? Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Every argument they had, what we going to play? Ma said, it all stems back to her, because they were showing how much dominance that she had, because she realized what leverage she had, which is why I'm telling you, what changed my life about this movie, in the sense of my opinion about it, was when she did that fucking monologue about how they don't care about her voice, you know, I mean, they don't care about her, but they only want her voice, and too cheap to buy her Coca-Cola. Like, for me, that whole monologue brought home everything that she had been doing leading up to it in such a perfect way. Because, like, if you think about it, like, they gave her some petty stuff. Like, as soon as she walked in, like, oh, let me take your stuff. She don't let him take it. You know, you want to have a seat? I don't want to sit down. Get a fan in here if y'all want me to sing. Like, I mean, she just kept, oh, I ain't doing this. I'm walking out. Like, you know, give me a Coca-Cola. I ain't singing without no Coca. Like, she just kept just being like so, and it would make you as an audience member be like, okay, now I'm tired of this bitch now. Like, just sing. You know what I'm saying? We want to get to the whatever. But then when she sent him to go get a Coca-Cola, and then she gives her speech and her spiel about why she does everything that she does, like, it'll make you as an audience member be like, you know what? I respect that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
wait on your motherfucking Coca-Cola because you already know the moment your voice get trapped in them boxes, as she say, or get recorded in that system, they gonna basically give you their whole white ass kiss. And she knew, because they wanted her so bad, she could use that to her advantage. That's why she said, they call me all types of names back there. But I'm gonna make them treat me how I want to be treated, even if it hurts them. That is a powerful statement for a black woman to make at that time, let alone today.
You know,
and I feel like for me as an artist, I was right with her because, and I'm gonna be very honest, I feel that way regardless if it's a black or white man. Because at the end of the day, I feel like as a black woman, once again, going back to taking Ma Rainey out of her own movie, that is what people do. And they do it so off the cuff and don't even realize that they're doing it, that it now becomes a form of life. And so for black women, you gotta demand it. And here's the thing, here's the kicker. She wouldn't have to demand that stuff if she was somebody else, if she was a different sex, or if she was a different color. And so the fact that she has to demand that, I feel like now you got to take a look at that actual problem. Because like I said, for me, even in today's age, I understood where she was coming from, especially as an artist, because once you get my image on that tube, once you get my voice to that microphone, it's over. I've done my leverage. And to fast forward to the very end of the actual film, for me, one of the powerful scenes was her contemplating whether or not she wanted to sign that paper, because at the end I felt for her because she has now lost.
It's over. It's over.
I was going to say that actually brought it full circle with her story, the whole monologue, and then that moment, like her leaving, saying, "You guys, you're going to come in here and pay me the $200 and give my nephew his $25 because you know I haven't signed that release." I thought that moment was like, man,
right.
But again, I'll take back what I said, but I just like the band better. If in other words,
the band had great moments. The band definitely had great moments. They were phenomenal.
And one of your questions was about the monologues. I think it's hard to choose between the two, only because they're different monologues about different things.
Between which two?
Chadwick
had two, and Viola had two, and it's hard.
Okay, so picking between those two characters,
correct?
Monologues. Correct. Okay, got it.
I only say that because Viola Davis was more towards the industry and how she was being treated, whereas Chadwick was towards him personally growing up and having to become a man in essence. And so I tell you this though, they both acted their asses off. Everybody in this movie acted their asses off. This is why I say this was a performance piece, because this is the type of stuff that you would see on the Oscars. And if this, I promise you, if this does not get nominated or anything, that shows where the Oscars lies, because
everyone is going to get nominated. My issue now is don't let it be nominated because it is a post-nomination because Chadwick, rest in peace, is no longer here. Let it be nominated based on its merit and its value. And that's where my issue is because the Oscars will forever honor people after they're dead. They will. I mean, that's just the honest truth. However, my thing is this movie, this film, this iconic mastery that we saw on cinema goes beyond him passing away and him leaving this earth. It actually goes to his artistry and what they were able to capture on camera. I mean, dude actually learned to play an instrument for the movie.
Right.
He wasn't faking like Chadwick Boseman actually learned to play for this particular movie.
Right.
Man. Hey, also you can actually, I never saw it until now, but if you look at Black Panther to now, I mean, that's not that far. That's not that far of time, and you could see how much weight he lost, and that's that was devastating.
Well, you can even see that in a few of his other movies. Like I had brought it up before when I was reviewing it, but like in 21, when that came out, I want to say that came out 2019, either 2019 or early 2020. I can't remember, but either way, you can even see it in the film poster. Like, I feel like, ironically enough, Ma Rainey, I feel like he had a little bit more weight on him than he actually did in 21. Or it may have just been they dressed him better, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, he definitely, I definitely, going back to the monologues real quick, I loved the scene where, because man, like the messaging and the symbolism in this movie was just outstanding. Like the first of all, to make Chadwick's whole just say like he almost had like a, so like if he was like a planet, it was like his whole, like his sun that he was revolving around was the shoes. Like those, like
absolutely.
Those shoes, like to black people, him killing him for stepping on his shoes after the white man dissed him, and you actually should have did something to the white man, but instead you go and hurt your brother who's just simply for stepping on your shoes. That is real fucking life.
Right.
Yeah. It's very realistic.
Right now. Like as far-fetched as that seems, literally somebody going to buy a pair of J's and then going to the club that night because they pissed off because the white man done pissed them off at the job, and they come to the job and a nigga step on their shoes and they'll kill him. It happened.
In a second.
And they even went so far as with the symbolism to have him stab him in his back.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm like, oh, like they are not bullshit. Like, yo, they want you to see this. Like you get used. You thinking, you writing this song because man, like it's so like even they didn't waste time with just spitting words out. Like every time Chad would talk, like he said, like I'm gonna start my band once Mr. Sturtevant does XYBZ. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about how that sounds. I'm going to be able to do something once somebody else gives me permission. Right. And we're not even talking about a 9-to-5 job. We're talking about an entrepreneur, somebody who's trying to start their own band and still needs permission.
Right.
Come on, man. And so what gave Viola Davis's character so much leverage, Ma Rainey, is because she had already built her audience. She put herself in a position where if she never recorded anything, she would have still been fine. You feel what I'm saying? But when she decided to record, okay, well, cool. Now that I understand, y'all only want me up here for this, because I'm sure she probably recorded before and probably didn't, you know what I'm saying, and probably got fucked over. She was like, okay, I'll never let this happen again. So by the time she made it to them, she was already on it. Like, nah, I know what y'all want, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna demand, what I want. So go ahead.
And also going back to that moment when she said, oh, I understand what, and of course I'm paraphrasing, but she understood what the mistake was, is when he found out she never signed those papers.
Mm-hmm.
That was the mistake. That's the only reason why he came up off the pocket. And also, can I also point out, for me, I love how hard she rode for her band. Because let me tell you something. Honestly, I ain't even gonna lie. Like, I for real take a page out of my Rainey's book, especially when it comes to like me and my production company. Because my thing is, listen, one, you're not gonna fuck me over, but you're not gonna fuck anybody attached to me over either. And regardless of what Levy did to her, she never said exclude Levy. She still kept him included in the band. And I think that speaks volumes to her, not only as a boss, but also as a leader. Because my thing is, even though somebody's trying to gun for her spot, she's still looking out for him. Which I also go back and say how I feel like it relates to the Black woman today.
Who DA was trying to take out the movie.
I ain't saying, but I'm just saying.
And so
I loved how she wrote for her people.
I want to ask y'all about two things before we move on. And you can just give quick little answers. So one was the editing. How did you feel about the editing? I'll just give my quick answer. Fine.
Okay.
And then the second question is I don't know if this is the correct word. So Briana, you can help me with this because you got more of the theater background. I don't know. Are they called expositions? Like there were times where like the piano player, he would just, or even like when they were talking about having a good time, like all Black folk want to do is having I don't know what that's called, but like they did that a lot throughout the film, like those little I don't know, yeah, those moments. Like, and sometimes remember he would be on the piano playing and just kind of like almost like talking to himself, but saying a message at the same time. So I don't know what that's called, but how did y'all feel about those moments, and then also about the editing?
I will start with the exposition. One, like I said, for me, because I do have a theater background, it just took me right back to theater. So for me, I look at that moment as that may be a set change during the actual show. Like they may be physically changing the set, but you still have this person who is speaking during this time, so that if someone is if they are doing a set change or changing something around in the scenery, it's not just dead space. That's kind of where my mind went to, because I do have that theater background. I appreciated it, and I think to include that with the editing, I love how during some of those moments you saw them incorporate. It was almost like those motion pictures that they captured from the past. So, it was like two Black men standing outside of a shop. The shots where no one was speaking, but you see them in time. Right. So for me, I love that they included that in the editing. And I'll be honest, I wish they would have done that a little bit more towards the end, because I felt like it was heavy in the beginning and I loved it. And where they placed it was great. I would have loved to have seen them carry that through to the end and seeing where they could have incorporated that as well. Right. And for me, that's where I think it sold it for me in terms of transition from play to film. Because you can't necessarily do that in the medium of a live audience unless you have it on a jumbo screen. But for me, in the movie, I felt that was spot on, and I felt like that's something I would have loved to see a little bit more of as they close the gap between the media. Other things in terms of editing, I feel like, I don't know, like during some of the expositions, I liked them. However, I feel like I probably would have chosen a different choice because I don't think it was dead space. However, I think that I would have moved the story along in a different, with a different choice, if that makes sense. But the choice they chose, I felt like it was okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't hate it, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What about you, Daryl?
So starting with the exposition, I love those personally, and I definitely agree with Briana. I don't have a theater background, but I do know the theater. And when those came up, I was like, okay, this is the moment where they're like maybe changing the set or something. This is kind of the transition scene. And I honestly, I loved all the little bits in pieces that they had, especially with the old man playing the piano That was beautiful for me. And then them talking about niggas always want to have a good time. And then just other pieces in there where even going back to the sit down between I forgot the dude's name, but Ma Rainey and what's his face? Cutler. Yeah. Them sitting down together. That was good. One this is not an exposition part, but the funniest part in this movie was when they heard the kid stutter. That was literally the funniest part. Chad was like, "How you gonna fix that?"
He was like, "Nigga."
Wait. The part when they did that and he did it right in the way that Ma Rainey came in right with the song,
Right.
Yeah.
Baby.
And then another part, I felt like this was a part of the exposition, but the part where Chadwick was talking about, let's see if your God will save you.
Powerful.
I was like, man, because the moment before that, he got punched. And I was like, you know what? A lot of Christians need to stand up for God like that. And then and then the fact that he was like, and the emotion that he had, he's like, he started talking about his mom, and it was just, man, I felt it.
And he pulls out his daddy knife.
He pulled it. Yeah.
Knife that we talked about in the story earlier.
Right.
So it was already there. Like, I was just like, the subliminal, you saw where it was heading. You saw where it was going. I mean, his story was so tragic, but here's my thing. It was like, for both Ma Rainey and for Levy, even though their monologues were based on two different things, it still, for me, showed that regardless of what level you're in, Ma Rainey was definitely at a financial elevation than Levy. She was at a total, like, different, level in life than Levy was. He was just starting out, like Rudy mentioned earlier. Ma Rainey had been in this for a minute, but the thing is, it don't matter what level you in, you still got problems. It's like more money, more problems. You still got problems regardless of what level you're in. And I thought it's so great. And this speaks to the genius of August Wilson, of being able to showcase that even during that time, regardless if you were a rich Black person or you was a poor Black person, you still had issues. Right. And I think that's still timeless today.
Right. Yeah, it is. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I forgot you. Go ahead.
I just didn't get to finish about the editing.
Yeah.
As far as the editing, I thought it was on point. It was as you said, Rudy, it was fire. It was perfect. I wouldn't say perfect because nothing is ever perfect, but it was great. Only because it was done so well that I didn't even notice it. And then the moments that you did notice the editing, like the cuts and whatnot, they were cutting to something else. Like, for an example, the overhead shot of Levy and the old dude, I think his name was Tito or something like that. Tito, something like that. I don't remember. But the overhead shot of him holding him after he didn't just stab him, and then they cut Toledo. They cut to the white man playing this dried ass version of his song.
And that was George C. Wolf's interpretation. As a director, he added that. And that was like, okay. To go along with DA, I think that George C. Wolf has just been genius. I feel like he's just now getting his due because he's been in the game for a minute. And I'm glad that he was able to get this opportunity to interpret it. Also, we did mention it in the beginning, but quick shout out to Denzel Washington because he EP'd this project. And so, I also watched, there was like a making of Ma Rainey on Netflix that I watched as well. And then also there's a recent, there's a August Wilson competition that they do, which also kind of hinted at, people who will do monologues from Ma Rainey for the competition. So I watched both of those as well as the movie with just kind of gathering my thoughts. But there was in one of those short films or documentary of the making of, George C. Wolfe said that singing of the white guy Levy's song at the end was what he wanted to add to the story. So that was like his interpretation of including just that kind of like final moment of like, damn, he stole the song. The guy still didn't give the song any soul, and Levy was right. Like Levy should have played that. Also, there was another moment in the film that George C. Wolfe added that was his touch as a director. Was you know when Levy was through the door. When Levy was trying to break through the door, George C. Wolfe said, let him break through that door and let it lead to nothing. And so when Levy finally broke through the door, and you saw that it was still a brick wall for George C. Wolfe as the director, he was explaining for him that was the interpretation of racism in America. You can break through one door, you can break through a glass ceiling, but racism still has you meeting a dead end. And I just thought that was just such a great perspective, and that was such a great symbolism in that moment, because I did look at it in terms of me always meeting a dead end. My mind did then go to racism, but it also just meant I felt just for Black people in general, how it is very hard for us to break through in whatever you do.
Right.
Not just because of the color of our skin, but just because of the life that we live.
Right. Facts. And I just want to shout out August Wilson, because he really saved, just say like Ma Rainey's legacy in the sense of, because she's a real person, you know what I'm saying? But he turned it into a stage play because that's what he does. But now he's now dead and gone. But they being able to find his work and then be able to make it to a movie gave it the even bigger platform. You know what I'm saying? And it went through those streams for everybody to know who this real legend was. Because I'm telling you, Denzel even mentioned he'd never heard of it. I'd never heard the name Ma Rainey in my life. I didn't know about the play. I didn't know about anything. So big kudos to August Wilson for that. Because like I said, he because of his his due diligence, her name lives on. So all right, so let's move along and just talk about our final movie, Soul. Another 2020 movie, director Pete Docter, starring Jamie Foxx, Tina Fey, and a host of others. So let's give our thumbs for this on the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. I don't know where to put my thumb. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like I'm like my thumb's shaking.
Is Briana frozen? Oh no, she's.
Oh yeah, you were frozen for me. I thought she just wasn't voting. Yeah, your screen had froze for a second. My fingers. I gotta. Y'all go ahead.
Well, I started last week. Go ahead, Briana.
For me, I loved it. Also, I've lived a lot of different lives. So I was a teacher in Chicago. And so for me as a teacher, I just thought it was so spot on with a lot of the symbolism that the movie equates to, because this movie was for kids. It was not for adults. It has a lot of adult themes. And so for me, whenever I'm thinking about a kid's movie, I put myself in the arena of who is this movie for? It's for kids. So I think that it was perfect to talk about a lot of things that is very difficult to talk about with kids. Also, one, coming from the teacher's aspect, I was like, oh, this is really great. But also because I used to actually help co-host jazz shows in Chicago, I was like, oh, this is really right up my alley, because I know all about this. I know about setting up for jazz shows. I know about, the band getting ready and, it being a moment. So I was like, oh, this is really taking me back to a time in life. So for me, the idea of a dream and pursuing that, I thought it was spot on. Talking about the idea of life versus death, I felt like it was so on point with what we're dealing with in terms of just what's going on in the world with COVID, and there just being so much death around us. And it's not just America, but around the world dealing with this disease. I also thought the relationship between, having a parent who may not necessarily agree with you or agree with your life choices. I've never experienced that. My parents have always been supportive, but I have talked to plenty of friends and artists who have not lived the same life that I've lived.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think for the fifth thing I really loved about this movie was how they actually incorporated rhythm throughout the entire movie and just sound. I think for this particular movie, it reimagined sound in a different way that I hadn't seen in a Pixar movie in a while, or I've ever seen before. So for me, those were my top 5 things that I really enjoyed about this film.
BA?
I mean, thinking about the movie, it's.
You want to say Ma Rainey out this one too? Ma Rainey not have been in Soul.
But honestly, I was bored watching this movie. I thought it was very boring, and and I just was like, this was not one of Pixar's. I felt like we got the shit end of the stick. Pixar has great movies, and then the one that they do about Black people was shitty. It just wasn't up to par of what they usually put out, and I was just like, I was disappointed and heartbroken because it was our time to shine, and then this is what they gave us. That's how I felt about it.
Okay.
Can you break down this, like, why you thought they were shitty?
We'll let them get to it. Let me just get my little spiel. I will say this for me. The reason why I didn't really know where to place my thumb, because like as a film, just as a movie, as a Pixar movie, I thought it was great. I mean, I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was funny. I thought, to me, Disney in general, whether it's Pixar or anything, they just always, a 2D animation or even live, they just always have the best music in their movies. Like this, what I'm saying, whether it's the composing or even if it's an actual soundtrack, what I'm saying? Like to me, like I don't think I've ever really watched a Disney movie and was just like, yo, they shit the bed with the music on this one. Like it's like it don't matter what it is. It's like it has, even if it's not like a Let It Go from Frozen or whatever, but it don't necessarily always have to have that type of popularity. But you can, what I'm saying? Like I can remember different Tarzan or whatever, Mulan, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I enjoyed that. I thought, once again, I did know this movie was coming out. I heard about it, but I didn't see the trailer, didn't know what it was about. So I definitely did not know he was gonna die. I had no idea that was even a thing. I didn't you know what I'm saying? But I think that is where my conflict comes in, that I'll explain later, is not so much that he died, but I do feel low key, this ain't 100% true, this is just my perspective, that they could have drawn us in, and by us I mean the niggas. They could have drawn us in because you put a black face on the poster and you call it soul. So off the rip, you gonna you see the music, because like if there's any movie that I thought was more in the club, DA, like you said from Ma Rainey, I would have thought it was this one. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, I thought this was way more or less about that. So then when he died,
right.
and don't get me wrong, I appreciate the message behind the death thing, but it was different. I need to change this to this because I got the wrong movie.
Look at. That's actually one of my questions. Why do you feel like this movie was targeted towards Black people? And me personally, I felt like it was only targeted towards Black people because it was soul. Oh, what do Black people have? They have soul in their music. Oh, let's do it that way, guys. $1 million idea.
But also I'm trying to think, when is there ever a Black movie or a Black animation with Black people in it that's not targeted towards Black people? I can't think of one.
That's what I'm saying. They only chose to target this towards black people because it was talking about soul, where black people have soul in music.
It made it.
My question is, when has that never been a thing? Is what I'm saying.
This, to me, I think the only thing that makes this a black movie is because of the characters that are in it, but it's not really necessarily telling a black story. I would say that it's not telling, because this is more of just a human story. This is more of a go ahead and live your life before you die and it's too late. You know what I'm saying? But
very true.
But it's not necessarily catered to like black people in the sense of that directly. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if this is what DA was saying, but for me, with the whole soul, like, because of what this movie was about, you could have made this about giraffes, you know what I'm saying, and told the same story and called it soul, because it's literally referring to your actual soul. But when you put a black musician and call it soul, coming from somebody who didn't read the log line or watch the trailer, I'm really thinking that this, I don't know what the story is, but I'm thinking it has more to do with
music.
You know what I'm saying? And then it but once again, for what they presented, I did enjoy. I get the human message. I'm not shitting on that part, but the
marketing for it.
Yeah, for what you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you. The marketing, I definitely can get you on that. I think for me, I understood the double entendre of it, like talking about your soul, and then black people have soul. So I definitely understood that. But for the marketing aspect, I definitely can see your perspective in terms of it being more centered towards like artistry, you know? So I definitely can see how that could have been tightened up. But I still, for me, I don't ever see, like, if it has black people in it, then I feel like it's always usually targeted as a black movie. I just don't think that has to do anything with soul, this particular movie. I just think that in general.
Right.
If black people see it's black people in it, black people are going to go see it.
Right.
And that's the whole issue in the industry of, black people can't create box set movies because only black people are going to see it. Whereas this one, I think it goes back to what you were saying, Rudy. It is more of a human story than it is about a black story.
Because even Black Panther, low key, can be criticized for being too much of a black movie, because it wasn't really like Marvel. Like Ryan Coogler was like, "No, we got our shot. We doing some nigga shit." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very true.
We putting in some history. We shooting in Oakland type shit. You know what I'm saying?
African history, like sci-fi. Right. They futuristic.
Right. So so for me, I think, like I said, I wouldn't have thought somebody needed to be canceled if this was a white dude, you know what I'm saying, and this movie had nothing to do with a black person. Like, there wasn't a black person in sight. And they still called it soul. I wouldn't have thought like, oh man, how they gonna be soul without because what the movie is about has nothing to do with soul food, soul music, soul brother. It has nothing to do with it.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna disagree with you and say I would have been totally fucking upset if it would have been a white dude and they had this fucking movie called Soul. How dare you? That's appropriation to the highest degree.
It's not with what this is actually about. That's what I'm saying. The way with the marketing, and if it would have came off that way, I get what you're saying. But if you actually watch the movie, this could be anybody. It doesn't have to be a black dude. It does not have to be a black dude. Right.
But I think that for me, I was like, that's their power. But I do agree with you in terms of how it was being marketed, in terms of like it dealing more with the artistry. I get your point for that for sure. But I think that the fact that you have a movie called Soul, there's no other group of people on this planet that I think have soul, more soul than black people. So for me, to your point, to your example, if it was a white guy, I'd be like, this is appropriation. He wasn't the originator, so why are we now giving him originator status with the title of the movie? So for me, I would have been upset. However, like I said, to your point, in terms of the marketing and it dealing more with like soul music, and now I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I really watched the trailer like that. I just kind of followed like the news articles that came out about it. So I think I saw the trailer like maybe once. So like I said, I feel like in terms of the marketing that standpoint, I can get how it either could be a hit or a miss depending on who's watching it.
What they did for me would almost be equivalent if this movie was called Soul Food, but it was about ghosts cooking food really good instead of black people. That's what this did for me. Like, because I'm talking about with the marketing, like if they would have been like, this is called Soul Food, but it was just it wasn't black people. It just was a bunch of souls cooking the food, and they were trying to play on word. Like to me, that's how this came out because I'm seeing soul, black person. Okay, boom, we got one. This, you know what I'm saying? We got one. And when I'm watching it, yes, there are great black voiceovers. You know, I thought it was casted well. You know, everybody did a great job in their respective places. But when this was all said and done, I did not walk away saying like, oh yeah, this was another one for us in the books. Like this, it like outside of it having a black lead, you know what I'm saying, or Jamie Foxx getting his first Pixar, like it's like a kudos in that. But like I don't walk away from this saying like, yo, this is a black movie. My Rainey's Black Bottom was a black movie. Soul is a Disney.
Absolutely,
movie.
But I disagree with you totally on that because even the moments with the mom and the history of his father being a musician, like
but how long did they hang on to that though? They didn't hang on to his father being that big of a deal.
They didn't, but I'm saying it's not that it's obsolete. It's not like it wasn't included. That's what I'm saying.
They took him. I'm sorry. One quick thing, Dia. They took him through steps. Just like that you would go through on a daily basis because he is black. So like the quick barbershop scene or whatever like that, like those were just different things that yes, a black man would do, but none of that was like the main driving of the story. Like it was all about getting the souls in the proper bodies and the soul, and the one soul who never wants to go to earth comes and lives a full life, and the one person who wasted their life gets that second chance to be able to actually live his dream. Like, but it had nothing to do with anything outside of that. Everything else was just.
I got you in terms of that, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's not there. What you're saying, I'm not saying I don't understand, but for me, I'm saying if it hadn't included any of those moments of him in the barbershop, him talking to his mom, then I would be like, okay, well, where is the influence of black life? For me, that would be more. For me, I would be a little bit more upset if those moments weren't included. Versus, I guess, not having enough of those moments, which is what I'm getting. You're saying is like you wanted to see more of those moments, which I understand.
Which would have made it a black film to me. Outside of just the physical, the visual representation. Okay, yeah, I see the black film in that sense, but in the story, those moments just had to happen because he's black, so he has a black mom and a black barber. But it's not so much like this drives the whole story. Go ahead, DA.
But I'm saying to your point, I think they were showing black culture, which makes this they were trying to target the movie towards the black audience. And mainly because, like I said, the culture, they had soul, they had jazz in there. And then they had the whole barbershop scene, and I think all these little influences, it may be pull it apart. It may be like, oh, it's just a movie, but you bring those all together. That's our culture. That's who we are as a people. So therefore, this is targeted towards black people, making it a black movie.
No, it's targeted, but it does not make it a black movie. It's hell and high water targeted towards black people 100%. Like that's not even. I'm not questioning that, but it's not a black story. It's a black movie.
It's not a black story. It's not a black story.
We can visual representation. Like yes, there are black people in it. You're going to see more black people presumably because you really see more spirits than anything. So we don't know what color they are. But when you see a physical person. There's more black people.
But I was going to say, even with that point, they hinted a lot on that because even in the beginning of the movie, when Jamie, and I'm forgetting character names, but Jamie Foxx's character hinted at Tina Fey's character. He was like, "Why do you sound like a middle-aged white woman?" Right. And her response was, "Because it does ignore it. It does." Yeah, she said it annoys everybody up here, and I was like, "Ooh."
Right.
Wait a minute. So I know that they hinted at a lot of stuff. One, I'm also going to say, because I didn't say this before, the jokes in this was so on point. Like, if you listen to a lot of these different jokes that they were telling, I was like, wait a second. This show has always been that. They've always been, you know what I'm saying, been able to hit it with the joke side, especially in movies. So for me, I definitely get like, I guess when you say a black story, then you got to determine, okay, what's considered a fully black story. Just because it don't have nigga-ish in it, does it not include a black story? Because then you got to say, oh, okay, well, this is a certain type of black person. Everybody behaves that way. It's not necessarily that. But to you guys' point, or to your point, Rudy, in terms of the marketing, I can see how it may have been mismarketed in terms of the artistry. But I think for me to say it's not a black story would be if those different moments like DA pulled up never happened. If you never saw him in the barbershop, if you never saw, you know, the relationship he had between his mom, or going through like the flashback to him with his dad, for me, I do think that that is the influence of the black culture in there. Could there have been more moments? Yes. But would I just override it? No. But I will say, in terms of the story, was about the appropriate souls and the body, and not necessarily soul music. I feel like that's what they were really trying to do, like that double entendre meaning on.
Right.
I would have to ask, what's your guys' favorite part of this movie? My favorite part was the
before we get to the favorite part, I'm sorry. Before you get to your favorite part, because I want to stay on the negative side for one more side before we get to positivity. Because I even low key, and you know, when I first watched it, I first felt it. I was like, maybe I'm just kind of overacting, but I even felt some type of way about even with them switching. Like, I get the switch has to happen for the sake of the movie, but then like we never really experienced the black actor as the black man that much, besides when he's teaching or whatever like that, because now he's the cat. You know what I'm saying? And now I get it. We want to go ahead and explain why this sperm cell or whatever this thing is choosing to use a middle-aged white boy. But I'm saying, I get we're explaining that, but it's still seen effect.
Oh my god! This man says
so the fact that even like, so I wasn't sure, like, if they were trying to say, like, well, maybe, like, we put a white person in a black guy, like, maybe, you know, like, that'll, you know, because maybe that'll teach, like, what black people have to go through, but then that wasn't even a thing, because it had nothing to do with what black people go through. So, you know, like, it's just, like, for me.
I think you're talking more about the psychology of it.
You can go that deep, but even if you
can go that deep, that's where you're going.
No. I am going there, but what I'm saying is, with going that deep, or even without it, as far as like going as deep to them switching the bodies and the whole white voice or whatever like that, but even just going back to what I talked about in the beginning, like for me, I'm clear on how you feel about saying that even them just putting it in there was enough to kind of piece it together for you. And I'm more or less talking about it not being enough, but I think just for me, I think everything has, however everything connects, I think is what makes something, I guess, what it is. Because even like with Color Purple being directed by Steven Spielberg with the right man,
DA is having that.
It's
oh my god!
He still laughs like but what
because it makes so much sense. They were going out of the hole.
But come back here. Even with Steven Spielberg directing Color Purple, right? Mm-hmm. If you didn't know that, you would never think like, oh yeah, this is a white dude, whatever like that, because this is, no matter what time period it is, this is a black story. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing about it is you know, trying to sway you to believe that it was a black story, but it's actually about, you know, farming or something. Like, no, this is about, you know, this. So what I'm saying is, like, for this movie, and I'm clear on where you stand, so I'm not trying to convince you otherwise, but for me, those moments were not enough to what you were saying about me. They were not enough to make it a black story. I just felt like those moments were inevitable because they chose a black man to be the lead. So he's not going to walk into Supercuts or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He's going to go to Ricky's barbershop. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to have a mom that's not talking about, doesn't have a pension. Well, yeah, that's a black mom conversation. Yeah, I get it. But like I said, those are just inevitable moments to me, as opposed to moments that had to happen in the sense of, you know, because of this black story, and not so much like, you know, if this was an Asian dude, he could have had the same struggle. It would have just been an Asian conversation between him and his Asian mom. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't.
You're naming are for adults. This is a kids movie for kids. For me, I'm just like, I hear what you're saying, but I feel like because this movie is for kids, I think those influences of the culture, the kids get that it is a black movie. So I guess for me, I look at it from that lens. But I also went to it because you did go to the psychology aspect of it, even if you want to admit it or not. You went deep. And to go on with your deepness, I think that there were some moments that psychology-wise, I feel like they hit, talking about, you know, life and death and, you know, purpose of life and all of that. But I do think for the storytelling aspect, there were some moments that I felt like they dropped, but they didn't pick up. Like Lisa. We heard about Lisa. We ain't never come back to it. It's not like he got back with Lisa at the end. So for me, I was like, okay, well, how does this move the story forward? It doesn't.
Yeah. It's a, like I said, I thought
it's difficult to talk about his movie too. So you got to talk about it from the psychological aspect, but also you have to talk about it for who is this movie intended for. When you talk about Color Purple, you talk about another movie.
Like, even Princess and the Frog, like and I don't even remember what the exact storyline was, but like I remember vividly that being way blacker of a movie than this one. Like they were like in Louisiana, they was in the bayou, like they was, you know what I'm saying? Like there was some black shit going on in that movie.
And I talking about gumbo and everything.
You know what I'm saying? Like to me,
I guess, in terms of setting, it made sense though. For me, I guess it makes sense because I mean that's Louisiana. So I'm like, I'm thinking maybe if it was in like a different setting, if it wasn't just New York.
It was in New York, you know.
Right. So when I think about New York, I don't just think about Black New York. So that's why I'm like, but Louisiana, not saying it's, and don't get me wrong, because I don't want nobody going ahead spamming my comments. Talk about some, it ain't nothing but Black people in Louisiana. It's more than that. I understand. There are more than just Black people in Louisiana. Right. I understand. However, when I think about my experience being in Louisiana and being around that culture, it was heavily influenced by the Black culture.
Right.
So I get what you're saying. So I'm thinking, like, when you put it that way in terms of location, I'm like, well, maybe they could have said it somewhere else. But then when I think about the city in America that has the most noise, the number one city to me is New York. When I think about like sound and from that aspect, when I think about jazz, of course not, because I'm from Chicago, I'm going to be biased. So when I think about blues and jazz, no, it actually didn't start in New York. However, you know what I mean? Like maybe if it was in a different location and it did include those other elements, it would have been able to be truly marketed as like a Black movie or intended specifically, you know, with that Black culture in mind.
You can have a Black dude in New York. He don't have to be in the hood of the Bronx. Like, I mean,
absolutely not.
What I'm saying, but and it still be a Black experience in the sense of the root of the story. Because, like I said, the experiences that they took the character through in the sense of barbershop mom, so on and so forth, reminiscing about dad, teaching at this school with the different little minority students. Like, yes, those are different Black experiences that they touch, whatever the case may be. But the story that this movie was about was not a Black story. Hear me clearly. I don't disagree with the story that they chose to tell. It's a great message. I'm not shitting on that. But when you put a Black person, cartoon character, with a popular Black voice like a Jamie Foxx, and then you call it soul. You even got an actor who sings and plays the piano. You feel what I'm saying? You call it soul, then even if this isn't about music, I'm still thinking that this we're going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Whatever Pixar going to give us their Disney version for kids of a Black story in some little kiddie type of way. But it didn't. Yeah. It told a great story, but it just didn't go that way. So that's why I do my thumb like that, because I loved the actual movie itself. I thought it was funny, great jokes, you know, the cast is great as far as voice acting, all that type of stuff. But like I said, but just the marketing leading me into what my expectations, I think just kind of fucked me up a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, I get you. I heard that.
Yeah, that's all.
Hey, Rudy.
You said you wanted to go into like your favorite scene, DA. You was gonna talk about
Wait, Rudy, you're the man for that joke.
You still thinking about the sperm cell?
That's the perfect joke, man. Perfect.
I even said that,
bro.
I appreciate it.
You're the funniest man I know now.
Funniest man I know.
Now, he was funny. But now he's like he done topped everybody I know.
That's like I said, yo, you was Black, but now you like
but I had asked what was your favorite part?
You were gonna say the
and I personally did like the barbershop scene because I felt like it was a insight to our culture of, you know, because for guys the barbershop is like that's our kind of safe haven, you know. That's where we go to be, just be us, you know.
Right.
And that moment in the scene, I mean, that moment in the movie was just done. I thought it was done perfectly. Like the whole conversation between everybody, and then him talking to the barber the whole time, and then leaving with wisdom. That's literally the barbershop experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no.
Very true.
I agree.
Yeah, very true. I think for me, my favorite scene, and it was like a combination of scenes at the end, where you heard the music playing and they were just doing different snapshots of the city. So you saw him on the train, you saw you saw like a overhead animation of the city. And just in life, you know, you saw these different, just honestly, like almost animated pictures. And you just heard the music. And I thought that for me, the editing of it was done so well. I think for me, that's the one part that just drew me in the most. Because just seeing those like snapshots and those different animated pictures of not only New York, but of his life, for me, it sold me. I think that was like one of the most greatest moments of the movie ever.
Yeah, I would kind of piggyback off that. I don't know if I have like one favorite moment, but I just think that this movie and Pixar in general just does a great job with creating worlds. You know what I'm saying? Like, because even for one, they do a good job of like taking another world, so just say like a Finding Nemo, and you take all this underwater stuff, but make it correlate to real life stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and so it gives it like that, you know, the humanization of the animals. And so the same thing with this, like you pretty much create this whole like, okay, you got the great before and the great beyond, you know, and even with the great beyond, like just making it this big white, you know, just, oh, you know, like every time they open the screen, it's almost like terrifying. You hear like, oh, if you don't want to volunteer, you can just, you know what I'm saying? Like that's very impactful. You know what I'm saying? That like, especially I can imagine watching that as a kid. I'd be like, oh shit, like don't go to the great beyond. Like you need to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like so, like that's a, you know, creating the great before. You know, just, you know, the rules and the way, you know, just, I mean, everything showing that, you know, all right, you guys are gonna be insecure. You know what I'm saying? You guys are gonna be what, you know what I'm saying? Like all that type of stuff. I think very, very brilliant. And like I said, just piggybacking off the comedy of it. I thought it was a funny movie. You know what I'm saying? When him as the cat and the rat was going past each other with the pizza, and they stop and look each other. You know,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, just a lot. Even when he was slapping him and showing that he can't feel nothing, like all that stuff was funny to me. When he was trying to jump down to earth, and when he first got there and he grabbed one of the little things and tried to jump down or whatever. All that, I thought that was hysterical. So I thought they did a great job as far as that stuff. I thought that was real funny.
No, what's funny about that is when he had met the Tina Fey's character, and they walked past it again, and he was like, "Hold on, I'll be right back." He was about to go do it again. That's so funny. I don't know how much time we have left, but I do have. I can ask one more question. How do you guys feel about how they portrayed Black people, not only in the sense of character wise, but also how they looked? Because I felt like they really did us justice with how they designed a lot of the characters, especially for Black people, you know, at the jazz scene, at the bar, the barbershop.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job with the imaging. I mean, even with the what's her name was Dorothy, whatever, the lady he was trying to play for, whatever, who had the band. Like even her, you know, she was a curvaceous woman. She had hips. Brad, I think you froze if you're trying to say something. But, you know, she had like, you know, curvaceous hips. You know what I'm saying? She had a little afro, natural hair. You know what I'm saying? So like, I thought they. The barber, you know, having the beard or whatever, like I thought that was realistic, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't think Disney was like necessarily like disrespectful. I don't think they like shitted on Black people, you know what I'm saying? I just think they just told it as a Black story, and it wasn't a Black story, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that was my whole thing. Yeah, but I don't think they depicted us in a negative way. Not nothing that I noticed just off the jump. You know.
Yeah, me either. I thought, like, I definitely agree. I don't think they were trying to. I think they tried to be as politically correct as they can. You know, because I'm pretty sure they definitely wouldn't want that backlash.
Yeah. They got that would be a lot to lose if you to be doing some stuff against Black people in this, you know, in this day and age.
Another funny part is actually what's called it when the guy took the wrong Black dude.
yeah. I like that character. Do you know who played his voice?
Who?
The guy who
the accountant?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're somewhere out there, little soul, and I'm going to find you. Like I like how they kind of gave him like the crocodile hunter, low key little, you know, voice. Like
right. I honestly don't know. I can look it up real fast.
Thank you. You asked a question, BA, about how do I think the characters are portrayed and how do I think that they in the animation, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, my interpretation was good. I think they did a great job of creating variety, creating differences like Booty pointed out, the beard for the guy. I also love the like subliminal messaging from like the student. I think his name was it Cutler? No. That's
I don't know.
What was the name of the student?
It was
Yeah, I know you're talking about the drummer.
Right, the drummer. So like I noticed on his shirt, like he had one of those message shirts that said like free and fusion. And it was dealing with music. So I thought that was a nice touch because at first I thought it had names of like Black people, you know, who had like been murdered. So I was like, oh, that would have been a great subliminal message. But it wasn't. It was about music, which I was like, I was about to make my eyebrows raise. I was gonna say, oh, for real. But it didn't take it there because I actually have a shirt like that. So I was like, wow. I think I love the fact that they definitely put, you know, curvy women on there. One for me, I think his mother, voiced by Felicia Rashad, didn't necessarily match how I know Felicia Rashad looked. So I was like, oh, wow, that's like, it definitely like blew my mind because sometimes you expect for the voice you're hearing to look like the character. I mean, same thing with Dorothea, voiced by Angela Bassett. You know, Angela Bassett doesn't look anything like that, but I think they took a page out of our culture and created us in the likeness thereof that look more realistic to,
right.
you know, what we see in our everyday life, whether you in New York, whether you in DC, whether you in LA, wherever you are, you know, you got people who, you know, look like similar to that image. And I thought that they did a very great job of that.
Yeah, for what they showed, the inevitable depictions I was talking about, they were definitely genuine. I mean, even the mom friends, you know, flirting with them or whatever, you know what I'm saying? All of that type of stuff was
okay.
Nothing about what they showed, like I said, I don't know if you heard me when you had cut out. Nothing that they showed was like disrespectful. I don't think by any means that they shitted on black people. It was just more or less the soul and all that stuff. You know, just it could almost be like if I almost think, and I'll say this and we can be done. I think if Black Panther could have been, in my opinion, a little more action, just because it is a superhero movie. Like I would have liked to see just a little bit more fights or whatever. But I do think that if they would have chosen, like if they could have only chosen to do how they did it or do an actual, just say Marvel movie, I think that people would have been disappointed if it was like that out the gate and it wasn't what it was. Because like you get Black Panther and you finally get that. Like, yes, I get this is in the Marvel universe, but like we still want our connected story type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I even thought it was dope just how they did the whole Black Panther. But nonetheless, all right.
The writer and the director, who are they Black?
For who? For Soul?
For Soul. I don't. The movie we're talking about.
I was talking about Black Panther.
I thought you gave their names earlier.
No, I only said the director.
The director is not.
I thought you was talking about Black
You
Panther.
said the director is not?
Yeah, the director is not. He's white.
You said he is Black or he isn't?
Not.
He's white. He's white.
Oh, well, that might also have a lot to do with it.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to see.
Because I feel like and you keep bringing up Black Panther, so I guess I'll keep going with that. But I'm gonna say not only did Ryan Coogler write Black Panther, but he was also the director. So I feel like even if you get a piece of writing that may not necessarily have the Black experience written in as a director, you will be able to incorporate that through your vision. And so the reason why there may be some people who also feel like it was a myth, or that Black people got the shittiest of the shitty Pixar movies, in the words of DA. It may be because that the director wouldn't be able to hit that point because he doesn't come from our experience. So even his eye of incorporating things that isn't necessarily in the script just isn't there. His eye is on the human story, in the words of Rainey'S.
And to answer your question about the writer, so the director was one of the writers, so that's one white guy. It's three writers. Then you got Mike Jones, who's not the rapper, he's another white guy. And then you have Kemp Powers, who is a Black guy. So they had two white guys.
Oh, yeah, I know Kemp Powers.
So
what you're saying is he was overpowered.
Well, what I'm saying is he was there for the barbershop scene and the mama scene and stuff like that. And then the rest
of the scenes, he probably just got outvoted because that does happen.
Yeah, man, I'm saying the rest of the movie, the director and Mike Jones, they had it under control. So, but shout out to them. I mean, y'all made a good movie nonetheless, but it does not go in my category as a Black film. It's just a Disney film with Black characters. But a good movie nonetheless. All right, let's do these numbers real quick so we can get up out of here. So just to let you know, both
and
of these.
How does these numbers work with it being streaming?
That's what I was just going to explain. So both of these did have a box office because there are theaters open. So I will say that when we get a particular box office, you can guess respectfully, but don't think it didn't get a worldwide distribution because outside of Netflix or whatever else. So and Netflix doesn't show the numbers like that or whatever like that. So So the budgets you can guess normally, whatever you think the budgets were, but the box office, you can put some respect in their name, but don't think as if this actually went out into theaters, without coronavirus. All right, so let's actually start with we'll start with Ma Rainey. To go in order that we went. So, what do you guys think that the budget was for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom?
I mean,
I'm gonna go with 40 million.
One location.
Said 40.
You said how much?
I'm wait, no, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with 40. I'm gonna stick with my first guess. I'm gonna go with 40.
40. It was in one location, but Denzel Washington did produce it. I'm gonna say 60.
60 and 40. So both of you guys are over. But they actually they actually gave a range. In several places I looked it up, they all said this exact range. So it actually says 20 to 30 million, somewhere between 20 to 30 million.
Yeah, I was thinking 20 only because of it was one location. I chose 40 because I thought Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman or Boseman. Is it Boseman or Boseman?
Boseman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Boseman, I thought they would have higher pay.
Yeah, that's exactly where my mind went to, DA. I was like, I can't see them. I just see them getting paid top dollar with Denzel on the EP team. In my mind, that's where my mind went. I'm like, I don't see him doing us wrong.
Yeah, but I'm sure they all, including Denzel, they probably all got more or less back end stuff then, because for one,
well, no, because this was shot way before COVID, so this was back when the world was up.
Right. But what I'm saying is, but this story, what I'm saying, isn't popular, which is why you would need the Viola Davis, Chadwick, and Denzel to be behind it. Is what I'm saying. So I'm thinking that whoever gave them the budget, I don't think would have went crazy on the story and the people attached. I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it was more or less like, we'll give y'all a respect or whatever like that to go ahead and start here. But if it does as well as whatever, then we'll also on the back end is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Well,
I disagree with this story ain't popular, a statement, but I understand what
I'm saying. Nobody knew about this movie. That's what I'm saying. Like,
you didn't know about this movie.
To me, Denzel Washington himself did not know about it. That's what I'm saying, and he EP'd it. He did not know about Ma Rainey. No, that's
right. But I'm saying, no, he didn't know about Ma Rainey, but he knew that it was a part of the cycle of August Wilson. That's what I'm saying.
Because he found out. But I'm saying, going into them doing this movie, he said it on that extra clip that he was not aware of this, but because of August Wilson, he was able to then find out about the whole story.
Exactly. Right. But he's been doing August Wilson shows for 10 years.
This is what I'm saying. So for the fact that there's people who watch this movie who I've told, like, yo, you need to check this movie out, and they're like, oh, okay, well, where is it at? I'm like, it's on Netflix. Because nobody, I don't know if there was like a lack in press, whatever like that, but there was no big hoopla. I didn't hear it on the radio. I didn't hear nothing like like this movie coming out. So what I'm saying is, like, because the point is, they only got the 20 or the 30 million. They didn't get the 40 or 60 or whatever the case may be. And the point that I'm making is, I feel like they got that because they probably got more of a back end deal than just saying, okay, here, we'll give you all this money up front, which to y'all point of saying why they didn't get paid more. I'm just saying that it probably is more.
I hear your point, but you still not listening to what I'm saying. I hear your point, and I'm saying that, one, I disagree with the thing. It's like, yo, this just wasn't something that was known. Now, also to your point, I definitely believe like they was really skating on thin ice with trying to promote this only because Chadwick Boseman isn't here. That's kind of like I don't know. Like, I wouldn't even begin to know how you even promote a film after someone has died. and they like.
I think that's what drove the traffic, though. That's what I'm saying. I think that's what drove the traffic.
It did, but I'm talking about more so from the producing side, like the people who are behind trying to market it. Like I wouldn't even know where to begin, how to market something, because one, yes, it's his last film, so people are gonna go and see it. However, you also don't want to run into the fact of like you don't want to mismarket it, because now you also got somebody's legacy, their final legacy riding on your hands. That's a little bit too much anxiety for me.
Right.
Or to not make a mistake, I would just not, if that makes sense.
They still promoted that, yeah.
So, but yeah, 20. That's all right. But yeah. And if it was released theatrically, I'm pretty sure, of course, I mean, I feel like that's a no-brainer to say the numbers would be different, but you know, it did what it did.
So what do you think it made it in the box office with the limited release? You can go ahead and you can definitely say at least 1 million and above. It's not nothing in the nothing thousands, 100,000. It ain't nothing in there. So you can.
I'm gonna go with 10.
I'm just saying you can definitely go 1 million and above.
I think 10.
I say 15.
15. You say 10?
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I say 15.
10.
I'm gonna go with. My heart is telling me 5 only because of the limited release. So I'm gonna stay.
Yeah. This is difficult.
So you going 5 and 15? Yes.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, I'm going 5.
Okay.
So, well, I mean, even if you did stay, you'd have been still too far away, DA. But it's actually 19.3 million it made in the box office.
Oh wow.
Oh
wow! So it pretty much made his money back. Wow. How many people went to go see it?
It definitely made his money back, even on Netflix. I mean, people definitely streamed it. And I'm not sure how much Netflix. I don't know if Netflix paid them that, or I don't know how that worked. Because if they already made it, then I'm sure Netflix would have to give them a flat fee or something. But either way,
I don't know how many people went to go see it, and how many theaters are open.
That's what I'm saying. Like how?
There's states and places where it's not shut down like that. Like there's places open. Even when I was just in I was just somewhere and it was a theater open. I think when I was in Colorado, it was theater over there. Okay, and then for Soul, what do you think the budget was for Soul?
I'm gonna go with 60.
What was the budget?
I'm gonna go with 60.
I'm gonna go with 50. Yeah, 50.
All right. I guess maybe y'all must think Disney broke. Nah, they spent 150 on this.
Well, I just didn't think they would spend that much on it. So
they spent 150.
I mean, that would make sense, but also Disney got the money. Yes, I can see that. I can see that. That does not surprise me.
They got the money.
And it's Tina Fey. Like,
they got the money.
Fey.
Yeah, they definitely got it.
This is the one where they got the actors got the actors got the high pay.
Yeah. The actors got paid on this.
So that means, look, Disney, I am for hire. Disney, I am for hire.
You got paid.
Okay, so you're gonna get your money, baby.
Right. And then box office. What you got?
Okay. I know they had to make their money back.
But they just like with My Rainey, they made their money back, but definitely through streaming. So that's what I'm saying. Like they got and
the streaming isn't included in the theatrical.
Right. This is all strictly just the theaters that happen to be open right now during COVID.
I'm gonna go with. Ooh, I don't know, cause some people racist. They won't go see black people stuff just. You know what?
I want to do a range.
I want to say
this one isn't a range. This one is exact.
I'm gonna say 100.
100.
No, I'm gonna say 120.
You said they made it for 150, yeah?
They made it for 150.
Okay. So then I'm gonna say 100. But then I'm like, they had to have made their money back. Okay.
I wonder
I'm
how
gonna say
hard
100.
Lonnie will struggle.
Okay. Apparently, neither one of you
I'm
guys.
gonna just throw 100 on there. 100.
So neither one of you guys were listening when I was telling you that they made their money back, but not through box office. Okay, so that was my way of trying to get you away from the hundreds and guess lower.
Oh, okay. When you say that, I still thought, you know,
it's not that many theaters open to make $120 million right now in the box office. Like if you're doing that with limited theaters, only domestic, that a lot of people wouldn't saw that.
Wait, I didn't know it was only domestic. I thought it was worldwide.
This was a limited release. It's
a limited release.
That does not mean that it's just all right. You get a point. You fair.
Box office out there right now, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Fair.
It's in the millions, but it ain't in no 100 million. So just come back this way.
Just come back. All right.
Y'all another come back.
All right. I'm gonna just go with 20 million then.
20 million. All right.
I'm gonna go with 75.
75. She's still hanging out in the hundreds. All right. So
don't you do that. Don't you do that.
It's 32.5 was what they made. So I was trying to get you down. Yeah, you still. Hey, listen, she heard that one. Like getting their shit. Fuck that. Disney getting their money.
No. Because when you say when I think even with it being unlimited, I'm like, okay, well, did they make their money back? If they make their money back, I'm thinking 100 and plus. Anything under 100 is.
That's why I keep saying they made it back, but not in box office. They made it from the streaming because most people saw it on the site on the Disney Plus. So that's why I kept trying to pull y'all back and saying like, yeah, I'm sure they made their money, but don't think about it for box office because they didn't make it back in box office because box office was just. We'll get these extra pennies because we can open certain places, you know what I'm saying, to give people the movie experience. But
so they made 32, and then how much did you say Ma Rainey made in box office?
19.3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So okay.
So if I make my movie for $1 million, I can still make 30 million. That's what it sounds like.
I mean, well, right now during COVID, yeah.
If Disney's name is attached to it, for sure, because people are gonna watch it.
Right, but put it this way: you're gonna have some Mike Jones on the writing team. Who knows if it's really
gonna be on the writing team?
I'm just saying.
For you.
No, that's too black.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you, he got outpowered. Okay, I already understand what happened.
Now say less. Well, cool, man. This is a dope episode. We definitely been on here almost like 2 hours for this opening episode. But hey, great content. 2 great movies to talk about. We got a little backstory on everybody's, whatever leading up to now. So yeah, man, we're here. You guys want to plug yourselves away? Anything you got coming up? Anything any new websites or anything? We can start with you, Ms. D. Moore.
I am getting ready for a lot of different pre-productions right now. So I have some production stuff related coming up very soon, which I'm really excited about. And on the flip side of that, I just launched my new brand, The More Lifestyle. So I'm doing a lot of different virtual events for that. So if y'all want to stay in tune with what I'm doing a lot of giveaways at these events, which I'm really excited about. Go ahead and check that out at The More Lifestyle, and that's more without an E, lifestyle. Gotcha. So go and check that out. I got a lot of stuff in the works. I'm excited. This year is already starting off booked and busy.
Gotcha. Say less. Say less. What about you, Mr. Icon Living?
Master's degree.
So I don't want to. You know what? I'm in development on a lot of stuff. So I'll just leave it at that.
Nice.
You ain't doing shit. That's why you ain't want to say nothing. I'm just kidding. All right, cool. Well, dope, man. Well, that's
willy nilly.
Well, I'm keeping mine a secret too. We ain't saying shit. We ain't got nothing going on. You just follow us on our
Instagram,
and you'll figure it out. I'm at Rudy Willy Nilly Wonka, but more importantly for this podcast in particular, please follow us at Dumbass Film Students, as you see scrolling across the bottom of the screen. And follow us, man. That's where we're gonna be posting all our content. And there will be some stuff at the Chocolate Podcast Network, but I would much prefer you to follow this, because this will be heavy Dumbass Film Student stuff. And we get that page popping, man. So other than that, yeah, man, we'll be back next week with 2 more great films, possibly. And I'm not sure if Lonnie comes back next week or the week after, but he'll be back shortly. So we'll see him then. Yeah. Briana,
we got some great stuff in the works.
Officially welcome. You're your first episode in as an official host. Glad to have you. Excellent addition to the team. And DA, good job again. Congratulations on your graduation, sir. Our graduation.
Yeah, you with it too.
I was about to say, Rudy, you're on the side swipe yourself, not on this show. We're gonna always talk. Congratulations on graduating, Rudy.
Yeah, you know. I mean, it's what I do. You know what I'm saying? I've been the one that graduated. I've been so long. You know what I'm saying? I graduated from everything. No, I'm just kidding. No, that's what's up. Yeah, man. We out. Peace.
Hey.